Just wanted to go for a bit of a review and a bit of a breakdown, which I will be doing. I will be disassembling it to give you guys a bit of a look inside for those who are curious. Maybe you guys can get a bit of an idea on how to build one yourself, maybe if you've got enough time on your hands. I decided just to buy one. There is a lot better around and there's obviously worse around. I did look at making one myself, but with the time I have available to do the jobs I need to do, and I've already got a CNC lathe that I'm trying to rebuild at the moment. The last thing I needed was a welding rotator or positioner that I still needed to make it and have time to do it. So looking around what was available and just got sick of looking and just said, no, stuff, I'm just going to buy one. And with the amount of work that I do with a positioner, there's probably not worth paying too much for one. I looked at the flat pack ones, which for me, they're basically useless for me. I'm not putting them down, but they're not cheap, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, and you have to muck around welding them to get everything. And as I say, they're not cheap to buy anyway. These are about probably twice as much again, and probably more useful. You know, you've got your own motor on there, you've got the larger surface area. A lot more practical, really. As I say, the flat pack ones are fine if that's what you need, and I needed a bit more. Obviously, that's why I brought this. The probably next one up after that in the price range, I'm not too sure what's available in your part of the world, but what's available to me would be the next level up from that would be the Profax, which is pretty much what this is a copy of, which is the position that I had previously. I'd sold it to a good friend of mine who was using it more than I was at the time. So as it goes with friends borrowing things, if you let them use it for too long, they finish up finding out they think they own it. So I thought I'd better ask him to buy it off me before something happens to it. So he finished up buying it off me, and then years go by and I'm obviously needing another one, and I've come to the point of having to buy one myself now and weighing up making one myself. And as I say, so I got to that point of saying, stuff, I'm just buying one. I can't be bloody bothered mucking around. And I'll show you, you know, as I go through it, you'll be able to get a bit of an idea, and you'll start to understand there is a bit more to them than what you think. And you could make one, of course, but even as Chinese as this is, you know, this is a copy of, as I say, of the Profax. So they've just got a Profax and copied everything off it. But if you're just trying to make one off you know, out of your own thoughts, it's probably not going to be even as good as this Chinese one. You're going to make it only good enough, and you're probably going to finish up getting pissed off of it anyway. And it's not going to probably work like it should, and you have sorts of problems with it. But as I say, that's up to you to decide. And probably the next one after that would be well, I suppose it's considered probably one of the better ones. Both of these, the Profax and the ProArc, which is probably the more expensive one, are both made in Taiwan. They're around about they're probably around about the ProArc is probably just over the $3,000 mark, and the Profaxes, which as I say this is a copy of, probably just under the $3,000 mark. They're about $300 to $400 cheaper, I think. But these are pretty much exactly the same copy of that. Even the layout, the whole layout, unbelievable how much this just looks like my old positioner. It's unbelievable. Just a different color. That was black and this is blue. That's the only thing that's different. But I'll just go through a bit of a breakdown and give you a bit of the bit of feedback, I suppose, you know, for you guys who are looking at buying one. And there's, as I say, there's nothing much on YouTube as far as reviewing these or giving information about them. There's different variations, people making homemade ones and the flat pack ones, but nothing on these particular welds, what I can find anyway. Not that I've looked huge, but I couldn't find much. But I'll just, as I say, I'll go through it and just give you a bit of a breakdown of things that I've found in it that sort of maybe some things contradict the printed information to what you will get. So there is one little shipping problem that I had with it. There was a little bit of damage there, but nothing too big deal, which I'll show you. But sort of get to the point now, I've talked enough now, I'll just go through a bit of a breakdown what I've got included, and you guys know most of the features that come with these anyway. By now you can quickly look on eBay and see what's available. Probably go with one of the easiest ones to lift up. It would be the fairly simple on-off foot control there, so it's nice and small. So you can get your foot on it fairly easy. Fairly reasonably heavy, I suppose you could say. I guess it would be around about 5 kilo, and you could probably got the option to, if you are looking at buying one and you're trying to decide should I buy this chuck or not,
I don't know what they're selling them for if you buy them separate, but they're probably worth buying this one because for two reasons. It's low profile, so the height of it, it doesn't stick off the chuck, it doesn't actually stick off the mating surface too far, which a lathe chuck does, so you probably lose probably a good 75 mil to 3 inches before you actually start to get to the job, which makes the job obviously stick out above the surface further, and obviously the lathe chuck's a lot heavier than this. It's a fairly simple sort of scroll setup, so you just turn the handles on the outside. Hopefully that's showing up okay in the video, just lift it up a little bit. It's hard to tell what you guys can see. So you can sort of just turn those handles around. The only thing I've found is those handles sticking out a little bit out the side. Just sort of roughly put that centre. You can see they stick out a little bit, so I'll be cutting those off because I don't want those sticking out hitting my hand. I don't know if you've got your hand resting on the side or whatever. Who knows what you're doing at the time. So I'll be nipping those back a little bit anyway. You don't need those sticking out the side. But obviously they leave that as an option for you to muck around with. Just the power lead, obviously, that plugs in the back of the box. I'll bring you up closer to the actual box and give you a bit more of a breakdown on that. The table surface is the actual just touch up just a bit if I can. So the actual width of the table here is, they say I think it's 320, I can't recall now. It's about 310, 315, something like that, which is about 12 and a half inches. It's about probably half an inch, 12 mil thick plate. It's all been surfaced, so it's all dead flat on both sides. So what I'll do is just bring you over and just go through the actual front of the control now. Just go through the actual box now. You can probably see, I think, as I say, you can probably see most of that on the eBay ad anyway, but I'll just sort of show you this for those who are interested. Just a pilot light there, reset for whatever reason, obviously it's probably from overload, obviously. Power on and off, direction, so it's just your toggle switches, which way you want the turntable to turn. You can lock, so it's just an on-off, so you've got your auto or foot control, so obviously when it's on auto, you can obviously go through, well, I don't 100% understand, so I'm probably not giving you the great amount of information because I haven't actually used this particular one yet, but if it's similar to the ProFax, it will run like that. You can switch this on and off, so this will just run on and off, basically just like a light switch. Auto, so you can run that through a control, which I'll show you at the back, so you can actually set that back to your welding machine, so your HF switch on your TIG or your thinker control on your MIG welder, or you switch it down for your foot control. Obviously this is just to control the speed of the table. You've got a timer down the bottom there, but there's nothing too big deal about it. It does come with instructions, like you probably worry about reading now. I couldn't just really find much in there. I just quickly look through them. There's probably nothing much to really look at. You just plug it in and just start flicking things on and off and mucking around, but you eventually find your way in about 10 minutes. The only thing that I found was a bit, wasn't right, what was it, I can say, expecting, I suppose, is they do say it's a 25 mil through bore. So one thing that is true is the hole in there is 25 mil, but obviously you can see there's no through bore. So what I was trying to do was trying to knock this out. Like someone put a plug in there at first, and I was pushing on it thinking, does this thing pop out or not? So what I did was I've disassembled it prior to this video, so you can see the other 3 bolts out, and I'll disassemble it and show you what I'm going to be doing to get this through bore back again, because that was probably half the reason I brought this one, was because of the through bore, but I'll show you what I'm going to do to modify that. One other thing was in the shipping, not a big deal, but it's an easy fix. I've got a pretty decent machine shop, so it's pretty much nothing I can't make. You can see the little bit of backlash in there. So there's meant to be a bush in there that was, I think, must be broken in transit. But other than that, it's pretty good. Probably what else could I probably show you? Just move a few. I'll just pause you and I'll just bring you back. Just get in a better position. As I'm working my way through this video, there's probably a few guys watching this thinking, I'm going to watch this and I'm just going to copy everything off this machine, copy it off this unit and just make one myself. But I can tell you, honestly, by the time you buy all the gear you need to make this, I tell you, just save yourself the hassle, just buy one, man, because the By the time you buy all this, you're probably already 2/3 of the way through it in money already, and then you've still got to have the time to put it all together, and it probably won't look half as decent, even half as decent as this one does. And there's probably a few things on there you probably won't even be able to buy possibly. They've got a copper block here that actually contacts with the table, so there's no earthing, there's no arcing out through the actual unit, so you're not shorting out any bearings or anything. So it's actually contacting to the actual surface plate itself. I've just lifted that spring off there so you can actually see. Just see if I can get that off there so you guys can see it in there. You can see that the actual like a little ratchet in there, a little keyway cut along there. What that is for is to adjust the tension of the spring as it wears. Hopefully you can see that okay. So as this block is going to wear down over time, and obviously to keep the tension on it, you just keep moving this up and just keep setting your preset. So you could probably make something like that, but you probably, by the time you actually make all that, I'll tell you, you probably spend a couple of hours just making this bloody thing. I don't know, maybe you can buy them, I don't know. But it sounds like I'm trying to talk you out of building one, aren't I? The other good thing is they put a bit of work into the cable work there. You can see the 4 cables going into the earth. I suppose when it comes to the point of rebuilding it, what you could do, if you did want to rebuild, if it needed rebuilding at some point later on, just take that off here so you can see. Probably what I'd be doing is just buying another copper block and just putting grub screws through it, so a cable on each side. Probably wouldn't go for the trouble putting double cable. Just have a set screw going in the side here, just clamping onto my cable on each side. Probably best to have a cable on each side to try and keep this centralised then. As I say, you don't need the 4 cables. The other thing is to just get that back in position before it falls off. It's got this lug back here, so just your normal terminal. You could probably straight away, but most people would attempt to just put an earth clamp on there straight away, but I wouldn't recommend. You probably just have a separate cable made up to do just for this positioner, rather than risking having arcing problems of putting it, as I say, an earth clamp directly on there. Just make up as an actual separate cable just for this, and one for your clamp as well. If you're going to go for the trouble to have a position, you might as well have a separate cable. But everything else is pretty good on the unit. I'm pretty sure if you put these part numbers in, if you ever say, oh, what happens when the motor burns out, it's probably Chinese rubbish or whatever, then that's fair enough, but that's what you're paying for, aren't you? It's upside down. But I'm pretty sure if you put these part numbers into Google, I'm probably sure you probably find yourself into an eBay ad selling all these parts anyway. You think, well, I can go and buy them and make one myself now. By the time you add up, let's say, do add up everything and then find out how much it costs, and you could probably buy the whole unit for about $200 more. It has a hardened steel worming gear here, so that turns pretty well. Other than that little bit of backlash from, as I say, well, it's actually got the bolt missing out at the moment because I'm going to show you inside it. So I've disassembled it to work out what I'm going to do to fix that problem with the through bore. But it's got a hardened gear there. One thing I didn't show you was how far it tilts down, because in the advertisement it shows that it only tilts 90 degrees. So the only thing that's limiting you is where it hits the actual unit down here. If I can get the camera in the right spot. So that just hits on there, so you can see, just get you back on parallel. If I can get you sort of parallel, you can sort of see the angle, how far it tilts forward. Okay, and you can get similar. It's got a fairly smooth action. Just that little bit of backlash there from that nylon washer missing. Same thing again, just hits the handle, so you can get back to that angle there. For whatever reason, I don't know if you need to be back that side, but obviously that's more than 90 degrees. So you've got, just say probably roughly, you'd have probably 110, maybe 120 degrees of travel, which is good. On the spec sheet, is sort of like if you're trying to understand the spec sheet, this is what they call the 120. I'm pretty sure, hopefully it is. I haven't even checked myself. 120 watt motor. Yep, that's it down there. So that's the 120 watt motor. So this is the 50 kilo, 25 kilo version. I'll sort of explain that, what I mean by that. So when it's in this position, what they call horizontal position, so tables in the horizontal position, Mostly the work will be in the vertical position at its 50 kilo mark. When the table's tilted to the front, which is vertical, and the part's horizontal, they're referring to the 25 kilo measurement. So when you look at the other versions that are available on eBay that say, I think it's 80 or 60 watt, it seems a bit confusing, because even when I was looking for this one, the numbers seem to be all over the place, but it's roughly about half the wattage of this one, which are about 30 kilo in this position and 15 on the side, which are okay, you know what I mean? It depends on what type of work you want to do. It's probably more than enough if you're only doing light work, but you just never know what you're going to do, you know, what you're going to be doing with these positioners in future. You have no idea what type of work you're going to be doing. So, you know, I tried to buy I suppose the biggest one without buying over big. About the only thing I'd probably maybe looking at doing, as I'm looking at it earlier, was trying to lower the height of it. I just find the center height's a bit too high. Pause you for a second. There is sort of one thing I don't like, but you know, obviously you can live with it, is probably the center height. The center height's a little bit higher than my Profax that I had previously. So you can see the amount of space that's underneath here. I don't know if I'm going to modify it or not. I'll just live with it for the moment to see how it goes. I might look at cutting it down, cutting the base down. I can always move the box up, which is one other thing I'll just show you I'm going to modify too. And I can just bring the center height down. I just find it's a little bit too high, but you can tilt it over forward, so it's not too bad. The box does just key on the side, so you can actually lift it off. Another thing I should have paused before I showed you. Just hang on 2 seconds, I'll get that box mount taken off. Even with two hands, it's still hard. So this just clicks on and off. So it's got little keys just cut in the back there, so you can actually just take this on and off. What I'll be doing is doing away with these metal ones. I don't think it'll be any problem, obviously, but I'll be just remaking these in either nylon or Delrin. Obviously, I'll be tapering them back to give them a bit more strength in the base. Obviously, it won't be as strong as these, but as I say, make the base, it'll make more sense when I sort of, as it will be, you guys get the grasp of what I'm talking about, tapering them back so they got more strength to the base to stop them from moving. I just don't want any sort of arcing between the control box and the actual positioner itself. So what I'll do is I'll disassemble it and show you how I'm going to modify the board to get the that through bore that I'm after. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit disappointed about the fact, that it, as I say, you guys will see that in the ad to 25mm through bore. Honestly, it ain't no 25mm through bore, is it? So what I'll be doing is I'll be trying to get this part off. I'm not too sure if that's pressed on there or it's machined as one part. I'm not sure, but I'll be trying to machine that off anyway, so I can reuse this part. So I'll probably bore that out and don't have to worry about making this part again. Reusing this, and I'll be able to bore this out to a reasonable size. So that's 25mm now, so you can see how far I go out before I can actually run into those threads. There's probably a good, at least 8mm, 5/16, so I can probably go out each side, so I can still get another, easily get up to 40mm there without too much drama in through the board, which will be great. I'll probably be aiming for something like this. So we're remaking this whole shaft, obviously. Just take it onto the unit. More information for building one yourself. Obviously these run in bearings, so there's a bearing on each side. And for those who are curious, it doesn't earth out through here, so it won't arc out. I just had to pause you guys out for a minute. I had a customer come in. So what I'll be doing is, with this through bore, is removing this bearing, obviously, and boring this out to a larger size. I might even look at to try and get the bore up large enough. Obviously, I'll buy the right size bearing to get the bore out as large as I can, or the ID bore of the through bore, I should say, and taking this out as far as I can with what I've got here available. If this isn't big enough, I'll probably make another part, remake this part again. There's plenty of room to play with. The ID one is probably going to be the one that's going to control me the most. Obviously, I've only got so much room inside to modify it out to, so that's probably going to be the controlling thing on the inside. Obviously, you can see that the bush, This inside bush is a lot smaller than the one on the outside. You can see the distance between the bearing and the outer. Compare. Just taking you back around the other side again. You can see that difference in the thickness there. There's about 3 times as much there. So that'll be probably the controlling thing on how far I can go with the bearing size compared to what bore I can actually put through that, through this shaft. Obviously, you can only come back so far. This is the actual drive part here that runs into that reduction box. Just 2 seconds, I'll just get my ruler and just have a look. I haven't even measured this myself yet. So this is all just theory at the moment. So we're probably bringing you back in a second video for those who are interested in my big bore version, I suppose you could call it, and just see how I go. So I've got about 115 there. So I've got a little bit left on the back there. So I can probably at least go 110 maybe and still leave a bit of material at the back there and make, as I say, make this shaft a lot larger and probably have it, I'm try to get at least a 40mm through bore, but as I say, that will depend on, as I say, the OD of the bearing, what I can get up to. I might look at maybe running a special bearing possibly. And even possibly that doesn't even need run-in bearings even, but I will keep with the roller bearing. You could just run that in bushings even, but I will stick with the roller bearing. It'll run a lot smoother for the motor to drive. There's no drag on it. If you run bushings, there will be slight drag, and bushings obviously do wear out over time. So we'll stay with that and just see how far I can get out to before I actually, and that'll, as I say, that'll decide the bore size for that through bore. But it gives me a bit anyway. It gives me 4 inches or 100mm down the bore minimum, plus a little bit, that tiny bit more, about 110mm. So it's about nearly 4.5 inches, not quite 4.5 inches deep through the bore. So it just gets the part down inside the chuck. So from the face of the chuck, you've probably got, if you went right down the bottom of the bore, you'd have nearly 200mm to the face of the part. So you could stick 200mm of the part down the bore from the face of the chuck, including the jaw height. But as I say, I'll bring that back in a second when obviously I won't be doing that now. But just when I have time, it's not too bad a job to do, something to do. And I definitely want that through bore. I'm definitely not happy with that. So it's one thing you guys should know if you are going to buy one. Definitely no 25mm through bore. There's a 25mm through bore on the actual face plate, but that's about all. Other than that, as you can see there, there's your through bore. So it goes in as far as, I think it's about 4mm because this is built up. So I think you got about 4mm through bore by 25mm diameter. But as I say, so I'll probably, as I say, run out to those, close to those counter bores, so you can still get a fair bit there. It's 25, so it's easy. There's easy 40mm there. As I say, the only thing, as I keep saying, the only thing that's going to govern me is just the OD of the bearing itself for that larger shaft. But I look forward to coming back in the second video and possibly a third one when I get it going. Just go through a bit more of the controls and maybe if you guys are looking more information as far as how it all works and so on. Maybe I have to let it go for a couple of weeks and see how it's running for me and just give you any goods and bads on things that I've found since I've owned it. And I'll maybe do a video in another month's time or whenever I get a chance to, after I get it going again, of course. But thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Okay, bye for now.